issues, our solutions using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, what's happening? Hey, the first show for 2020. Obviously, we were out last week. Well, not the whole week, but hey, I kind of needed it to recuperate. It's called Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. If you want to join the show, you can also join it by hitting me up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. And don't forget to download that Join That Radio app so you can carry us everywhere you go. So if you're tooling around in your car, your truck, or your tractor, or on your moped, you can check us out. You know what I'm saying? And if you miss any of the show, you can always download the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, and about 5 or 6 others. So there's no way you ought to be missing Black Focus Radio right now. And especially what's going on around this world and this country and this city, by the way. Woo! We got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Oh, baby, it's about to get real.
Man, boy, some of y'all gonna get mad, but you know what? I don't care.
About to get real.
You know. Hey, Robert, how you doing today, man?
Hey, bro, I'm up in this piece. Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year to you. What'd you do for New Year's?
Nothing, man. I slept.
I did too.
I'm an old black dude.
Hey, man. While y'all out there shooting guns and dodging bullets that's falling. And by the way, I warned you all last week, please do not go out and shoot your gun. And unfortunately, there were a few people killed around the country from stray bullets. You know, there's this thing about, called gravity that we talked about last week. It happens. So unfortunately, that happened. But I hope everybody had a safe holiday. To this point, I haven't heard of any of my friends or anyone that I may or may not have known who was killed by driving drunk or anything like that. So that's a good thing. Maybe people are getting the message. And certainly the rideshare platforms are helping out a lot. But you're right, Robert. What did I do? I had planned to go to the movies. Nope, didn't do that. I'm just not into that anymore. I'm just, you know. Well, you know, I kind of had celebrated the weekend before with my son's soiree in Memphis, which we had a ball. Got to hang out with my ex. Flipped at a bird every now and then.
Stop, man. Stop.
Hey, it's good to see you. Hey, you're number one. The one that I hate, you know. I'm just saying, no, we had a good time.
Number one all the way.
Got to spend a lot of time with my son and my daughter-in-law, and of course my step-granddaughter, which was just a big thrill, and enjoyed all of that, and had a whole contingent of people that came up from Little Rock. I think that kind of surprised them because we all busted in there. It was like 12 deep, all of us. And then I go in there with a bag. Check this out. It was so funny.
You took a bag?
I took a backpack that has an African motif. It was actually my camera bag, but my my camera stand is about, I don't know, it's about 3 feet long when it's condensed.
Okay.
So it kind of looked like a gun.
Dude, you got problems. You got real problems.
So in the bag, you couldn't tell what it was.
You got real
So
problems.
I bust off of that with my bag, you know.
You got real problems.
And I didn't realize until somebody asked me, what's in the bag? I said, oh, that's my camera stuff. And
That's just my guns.
and somebody said, I thought that was a gun or something. I said, I started laughing.
I'm finna go post
I was
it.
wondering why a couple of her folks was kind of staring at me. You know?
Yeah, because voice. They was like, is he white? Why he come in with this bag? Is he finna do a man shooting up in here?
But yeah, we had a good time. We hung out in Memphis. You know, I told the story last week that part of the reason that I moved to Memphis was because, during that time, the crack epidemic was just now beginning to take hold in Little Rock. And I had a lot of friends who were getting caught up in cocaine, getting arrested, getting hooked on crack. And I said and my stepbrother had moved to Memphis to go to the Memphis College of Art. And just a fantastic artist. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Aaron Hudson, shout out to you. And so I called him and I said, hey, man, I need to get out of Little Rock, because if I don't, I'm going to end up dead. And he said, hey, man, why don't you come move to Memphis with me and, until you get on your feet. So at that time, I was working at the Holiday Inn Airport. I was the first waiter, or one of the first employees that they even hired. And knew a guy who knew the people who helped start not Captain Bilbo's, but Cajun's Wharf.
Cajuns, okay.
And they had moved to Memphis to start Captain Bilbo's, which was nothing more than Cajun's Wharf in Memphis. Okay? And so, make a long story short, they called, hey, look, I got a good waiter here who wants to move to Memphis, da-da-da-da. Ended up moving to Memphis, and being the one of two black waiters of about 25 in this posh restaurant. And that's where I put myself through broadcasting school and things of that nature. But the reason I'm bringing this up, because the day before, a couple of hours before the reception, I was down on the river, sitting on the Mississippi, and quite often water will make you think. That's why a lot of people like to go to the ocean, and I was sitting on there, and it was kind of misting, but I was still hanging out. Yeah, I was drinking some Kool-Aid, and it made me reminisce, and something hit me, and this is a shout out to Aaron. If it had not been for Aaron Hudson, my son would have never been born.
Man, Aaron, that's tough. That's deep.
That's some deep, because it was him who said, hey, yeah, man,
Deep, bro.
come on to Memphis. And of course, ended up moving to Memphis, met my then wife, ex-wife now. Son was conceived, born. He's the light of our lives. But it did not hit me until that afternoon a week ago. And I kind of teared up a little bit, and I made a post about that on Facebook. And fortunately, Aaron was with us that night. And I made sure that when I gave the toast to my son, that I let everybody know in that area, in the event, that it was because of Aaron Hudson that Akili was born, and the rest is history. So, but I had a good time over the holidays. Didn't get any presents from you, Robert, but that's okay.
Did you not get my present?
No, man.
I guess he got tied up there. Because I did send it.
You signed it?
I sent it to you.
Okay. Well, I know there was a wreck of a FedEx truck in Pennsylvania, so it probably went through Pennsylvania and came back, and I'm still waiting, I guess.
Yeah, man, just be patient.
Okay.
It will be there before next year, I'm sure.
Oh, well, I'm holding my breath.
Don't hold your breath, though, because I need you around.
Oh, okay.
So don't hold
okay,
your breath.
Good. Oh, gee, thanks, man. Gee, thanks. But other than that, hey, that's how it's been going for me, and hope you all had a good holiday season. But just as fast as it came, it's now gone.
Yeah, glad it's over.
Man,
Peace.
I am too, man. I mean,
Peace.
I get so sick of the fake goodwill. I'm just tired of it. It's
Yeah, it is kind of tired.
I mean, if you really believe in all of that, then why don't you do it every day? I'm just saying, But it's over now, which is cool with me, and I hope everybody had a safe holiday season. Now it's time to get on with some business, because we got a lot of business to talk about and
Get this
moving
business out the way,
forward
man.
today. So let's do it. And let's start off with our black facts. This is the first one for the year.
Yeah, it better be a good one, Dave. If it ain't, I'm going to talk about you.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and do this one. I got a lot of them. I got some from Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and
Man, this is the first day, man. Why don't you do two? It's first of the year, man. Do two. Kick out two.
all right, I'll do.
I need to bring you some. I got to bring you some about what they're getting ready to do about these lynchings in Little Rock. I need to bring you that. We're gonna try to get them on the show.
Lynchings in Little Rock.
Yeah, talking about the lynchings in Little Rock. They're doing this. I'm not gonna say it right, but we got a guy who's gonna come in. I can't even think of who they are, but they're gonna come in and talk to us about what they're getting ready to do. Really cool stuff.
Cool. Hopefully John Carter will be included in
John
that.
Carter is included. I saw him on the wall today.
Fantastic.
They talked about John Carter. They talked about the 21, the Wrightsville 21.
Right.
Even though they call it the Wrightsville 14, they couldn't identify 7. I never knew that though.
Right.
I never knew that it was 7. They couldn't identify.
But you know, that was an accident.
Yeah, but like I said, it was 7. They said
I was being
identify.
facetious.
Exactly, and I agree with you. But I don't understand how you have somebody in a building, you don't know who's there, you don't have any names, contact information.
Exactly.
It is what it is. But yeah, we're gonna try to get them in next week to talk to us a little bit about. I think they're having their event on the 21st of January, so it's gonna be really cool. To check
All
it
right.
out.
So the 16th is booked. So just be aware of that. We've got a guest coming in on the 16th.
It's the 13th. They're coming
Okay.
in on the 13th.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm gonna check and make sure though. But yeah,
Okay.
I think it's the 13th.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, just letting you know. We're gonna have a pretty nice guest coming in as well.
She cute?
No, it's a guy, but he
never
may be
mind.
cute to you. But
Never mind. We can boot him. We can boot him.
so, all right. So I saw an interesting picture over the weekend, and I want you to see this as well. Do you know the name Esther Cordette?
I don't. Not even for me.
Yeah, you are. You may not know her name, but you are definitely familiar.
Okay.
Do you know who she is?
I don't. I have no clue who you're talking about, honestly.
Esther Cordette was a model back in the 70s.
Okay. I know.
Do you know what I'm talking about now?
Yeah.
And her most famous article or modeling picture was on the cover of what?
I think it was Jet. Was it Jet or Ebony?
Nope.
You said her most. You said her
Her
first.
one of her most famous pictures was on the cover of
Oh, yeah.
what?
That's one of those big ones. That's like a white. It was a white magazine.
Nope.
Yes, it was.
Oh. They were a musical group.
Oh, Rolling Stone.
Nope.
Oh no, you talking about then? I thought it was a white. I thought it was a white publication. You said
No, Esther Cordette was a black woman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And she was the model for the Ohio Players and the album cover Honey.
Okay.
And she was
I don't know her then. I'm thinking about somebody else.
she was the woman on Honey. Now, what I didn't realize about Esther Cordette, she was also, and by the way, the title or the theme song on that album was "A Sweet Sticky Thing." Thus, and then of course, Honey, Fop, Love, Let's Love, and Ain't Giving Up No Ground, Love Roller Coaster, and Alone. So I thought I'd just give a quick. And by the way, Esther Cordette also in 1974 was the Playmate of the Month for Playboy magazine. So I guess you'll be Googling that, right?
I will be trying to look up.
Because I don't know about y'all, but back in the day, when the Ohio Players came out with a new album, we were trying to get that album. Because they not only did they have some funk, but they also had some fine women on there wrapped up in water hoses, in cars, dripping with honey. Woo, Lord have mercy. But Esther Cordette, yeah, she was, back in 1974, was the Playmate of the Month. So, and also, so that's one quick black fact. I thought I'd give her a little love because I thought it was important because they've always talked about the lack of black beauty. Man, black
There
women.
is no such thing.
I'm
There
telling
is no
you.
lack of black beauty.
Black women, they are the epitome of beauty. When beauty standards are judged, it's the black woman.
Mother Earth.
No doubt about it.
Mother Earth.
Speaking of women, the disturbing history of enslaved mothers forced to breastfeed white babies in the 1600s. Slave trade brought many advantages to white societies. The main duty of a slave was to work on plantations, increasing productivity. Slaves often worked long, tedious hours in the sun with no pay or reward for their hard labor. Their presence made traders and plantation owners more productive and made their living conditions very harsh. After a while, the duties of slaves extended to domestic work, and female slaves became of high value. In addition to their plantation duties, many female slaves were taken into homes of their masters to serve as mistresses, cooks, clean and wash for them. If the mistress had too many children, the domestic worker was made to help caring for the children. After a while, female slaves were made to take the place of low-class women paid to breastfeed babies, a practice known as wet nursing. By the 17th century, wet nursing by slaves had become very popular in Europe. The practice soon reached America through British settlers. The practice was an excuse for many white mothers to avoid breastfeeding with hopes of maintaining their stature and avoiding the messy part of motherhood. The act was perceived as self-demeaning, and women who were seen breastfeeding were often thought to be uncultured, poor, and often shunned. The practice became very popular when doctors of the time did all they could to prove that breastfeeding was an unhealthy act for women. It is believed that doctors were paid huge sums of money to write such reports. The children of slaves grew healthy, while many white families lost their children to ill health. This made many Westerners force slave mothers to breastfeed their white children so that they could develop better and survive early months of childhood. By the 18th century, the trend had become very popular. Once a slave mother had a child, she was quickly assigned to a white mistress, and forced to breastfeed her white baby instead of her own. Young and healthy slave women were also forced to breastfeed white babies after doctors discovered that the continuous suckling of a sexual active female breast could result in lactation. While they breastfed white babies at the expense of theirs, slave mothers tried to keep their children alive by feeding them with concoctions they believed would be good milk substitutes. They also gave cow milk and dirty water, which were not suitable for the baby's health. This resulted in high deaths of babies of slave women throughout the slave trade. At the peak of the forced wet nursing, slave traders often kidnapped newborn babies from their slave mothers. The pain, and by the way, many of those babies, if you were in Florida, were fed to alligators. That's where the term gator bait comes from, by the way. The pain in the breast left these women with no choice but to breastfeed other babies who were often white. Some reluctant slaves were beaten and often milked like cows to feed white babies. Slave mothers often kept the white babies in their homes until the child's family felt it was time to take them back. Since the living conditions of the slaves were not the best, several white babies died. Speculating that slave mothers were killing the babies out of spite, they were later forced to move in with the family where they could be monitored. The enslaved wet nurses were rejected by their husbands, especially after the death of their own child. Another consequence of practice was slave masters and their sons having affairs with slave women, resulting into increased births of mixed race babies. The practice started to die down after slaves were slowly getting their freedom. Most of the wet nurses were saved by the families or lovers who bought their freedom for them. A few African American women continued wet nursing after slavery had been abolished. Though they were discouraged continuously, they did their job in secret and earned more than self-employed freed slaves and butlers. They were often called prostitutes or shameless women. Wet nursing existed for many centuries, dating as far back as the biblical days. However, in history, only slave mothers were forced into that act. And that's our black fact for today. And if you'd like to sponsor Dynamic Black Facts, give me a call at 615-554-0568. And we'll hook you up. And hopefully this year is the year that you want to make sure that you get your business out there and get the name of your business out there. We can do it right here on joynetradio.com. So let us know. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join the show. Of course, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, I don't know where we start, so let's just start locally, and we'll branch out. I guess the news over the last few days has been another killer cop is exonerated, and we got to pay him our tax dollars. Hello?
Well, there's some goodness about this, though. Go ahead, though. There's some goodness.
Okay, well, I'll let you tell me the goodness. Goodness in a moment.
Goodness is yeah, he gets to go back, but he doesn't go back in the current position he left, right? So he's probably going to take like a $20,000 pay cut, and he's going to be at a desk. So it's not a complete win for him. So it's not a complete win for him. So everybody don't start thinking, hey, he got his job back, he's good to go now. He can go back, but he's not going back making the salary he made before. He's going to go back as almost as a cadet, just out of the academy. So maybe that's enough to make him quit.
Well, I guess that is a silver lining, but certainly it isn't to the people of Little Rock, and certainly is not to Bradley Blackshire's family, because this man should have been convicted.
Well, that's the prosecutors. That's when
right.
we start having conversations around prosecuting attorneys and that kind of stuff. We talk about law enforcement, but what the discussion we fail to have is we never talk about prosecuting attorneys, because they are the ones who makes the call, right?
Right.
They're the ones that make the call whether they should press charges or not. The police department doesn't do that. The police department the perfect example is the Josh Hastings case, right? The police department said, "Hey, he was at fault. This didn't happen the way it should have happened, right?"
Right.
Same thing in the case of Starks. They said, "Hey, it shouldn't have went down like this," right? Well, if that's the case, then yeah, at least charge the man with manslaughter. But they never even did that. Had they done that, there would not be this whole appeals process. But because you had people saying, you know what, it ain't a bad thing. You had people agreeing, saying he shouldn't lose his job for it.
He shouldn't lose his job for killing a person, for killing someone who was innocent until proven guilty. I don't understand that logic. And
I agree.
Maybe it's just me, but I still think that there should be more going on. There simply should be.
By more going on, you mean?
Well, we've got to start getting legislators to start enacting laws that will punish these people, at least to the point where they're losing their certificates, where they can't go somewhere else.
That's not legislative. That could be done on the city level. The city can say, hey, if you are in the shooting and that shooting is warranted, whatever, then you automatically lose your license, because the city pays for that license. The city has ownership of that license. So the city can then say, hey, if you are, whatever, if you are charged with this, then you automatically lose your license. That's not something that I don't think we have to get legislators to do. I think we can get the city to do it. That's something we should challenge the city to do.
Well, I thought it had to be a legislative thing, but if the city can do it, then that's something that maybe we can get the mayor.
But let's go both ways. Why just leave it there?
Right, because we don't want because here's the bottom line, is that if these guys are supposed to be here to support the Constitution, and they violate that. I mean, it's like anything. Any profession that you're in, now, although they don't do licensing in radio anymore, but there were certain standards when I first started in the radio business that I had to uphold. It was a federal license from the Federal Communications, from the FCC. And if, for instance, if you let one of those 4 words slip out, then you would lose your license. And that meant that you were not going to be able to get good work anywhere in the radio industry, at least for 2 years. And then you would have to come up against the the FCC and have a hearing to get your license back.
And
Okay,
that makes perfect sense.
so when there is a person that is afforded a license to protect the public, and that person abdicates that responsibility, the only real option that we have is for that person to lose his license. You see, because I think if that was there, then we would not have cops continually doing the things that they do, because they know that they would lose their livelihood. And that's the most important thing to me. So at the end of the day, yeah, it starts, he's going to go back, less pay, yada, yada, yada. But what's going to happen if he says, okay, I'm going to quit. I'm going to move to Lone Oak, or I'm going to move to Northwest Arkansas, or any of those. What's going to happen then? Because
I agree.
he can still do the same thing, because his enmity and hatred for black people is still there. That has not changed. And until these guys start suffering the consequences, some serious consequences, then this is going to continue. And it continues all the time. Over the week, I posted so much stuff about police, because it got to the point where it was everywhere. I mean, they're doing this. I posted an article where I think it said in 2018, police had been charged with, well, let me take that back, accused of over 4,000 rapes. That should not be happening. It just simply should not be. So,
But in those rapes, do they lose their credentials?
no.
They don't lose their certification. I mean, that's a great point. We need to have conversations about them losing their credentials.
And remember the video I showed you that you were so upset about, where the officer was raping the lady on the under her car?
Right.
I haven't heard what's going to happen with that. Even the Botham Jean situation. Although Amber Geiger was sent to jail, they can't even sue the city of Texas now.
Well, they got what they wanted. They got forgiveness. They got what they wanted. Then what you get?
You know, I mean, that's kind of ironic, though.
No, you got what you deserve. That's what you deserve. You deserve what you got.
No, I'm saying it's kind of ironic that there you were hugging on this lady, and they just slapped you again.
Yeah.
So I just think there needs to be some common sense approaches to what's going on with police in this country. There's a problem with policing. Excuse me.
Bless you.
There's a problem with policing in this country. It has been for a long time.
There's no problem with policing. Policing is there's not a problem. There's not a problem, Dave.
Okay, why do you say that?
They're doing what they're supposed to do.
But I understand that lot.
In that respect.
But from my perspective, that's a problem.
Okay.
Because when they do what they're supposed to do, that becomes problematic for people that look like me and me myself. Okay?
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
So,
but I believe if this issue is really going to if it's really going to have any traction, then I think the black people as a collective are going to have to start having conversations about how police are funded. Because right now,
for instance,
because I can't keep supporting my own oppression. Mm-hmm. I can't fund my own oppression. Mm-hmm. And technically, every black person in Little Rock, we fund this oppression.
yes, we do.
Well, if I'm going to keep funding the oppression, then I ain't going to say nothing. I can't say nothing. Mm-hmm. But now, if I take my dollars across the bridge, that's a totally different ballgame. I'm going to stop buying gas in Little Rock. I'm going to stop doing everything I can in Little Rock. There's some things I just can't get away from. When it comes to my electricity and my cell phone, I don't have a choice with those. But when I go to buy a big ticket item, when I go to Best Buy in Little Rock, I'm not going to Best Buy in Little Rock no more. I'm going to Best Buy in North Little Rock. If you're going to Walmart, and you shouldn't be, but if you go to Walmart, go to the one in North Little Rock. Stop supporting your own oppression. You're funding your own oppression. But you got to stop.
That sounds logical, but herein lies the problem with that. The police in North Little Rock ain't no better.
It's not the point, though. This is the point. The point is, I cannot support the oppression in my city. And the only way to get people's attention is to pull the money out the till. The only thing the city board talks about is tax revenue. So if you want to make them start listening, don't spend your money in the city. That's it, flat out. I'm sorry. That's it, that's all. There's no other conversation to have around that because you're technically funding your own oppression.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. The question is, when will black people realize that? See, therein lies the problem. Is that black people haven't realized that you can control your destiny by your dollars. We talk about this all the time. But because we don't use our dollars for our benefit, and that doesn't mean just taking yourself out to dinner. If we don't use our dollars for our benefit, they're going to continue to do what they do.
Every day, all day. They
And
had no incentive not to.
Exactly. And people look at me when I say our black kids going to colleges. The key to me right now is all you got to do is stop sending your kids to these colleges.
Hey, I am truly a firm believer now that everything that oppresses us, everything about us is non-economic. Everything about us is non-economic. You with me? So if we really want to move forward and we really want to make people think about and take us seriously on issues that are important to us, we got to start thinking economically. It's important to picket. It's important to do all that other stuff. But hey, player, if you ain't got no money, none of that mean nothing.
Important to picket. That does nothing.
Well, for some people, man, that's their thing, and I'm not gonna knock their thing. If that's their thing, that's their thing.
What is that? But shouldn't you be doing things that's going to have an effect? Picketing doesn't do anything. I mean,
you know what? I'm not gonna say it doesn't. I've never done it, so I can't slam it because I've never done it.
But even if you've never done it, you know what it's supposed to be, right?
Right.
It's supposed to bring awareness to a particular issue, right?
Well, okay, I'll say this. So I've seen picketing happen, right? But I've never seen anything grow from the picketing.
Not recently. Now, certainly during the 60s it did, but
you're talking like 700 years ago.
But not only did it do that, it also came with what is it? It came with a sugar and vinegar. In other words, okay, not only are we going to picket, but we're going to stop spending our money with you all.
Right, yeah.
Okay? Because, see, the bus boycott wasn't the only boycott that happened in the 60s. But what happens now is that all we do is march and sing, we shall overcome.
Man, you're really sensitive to the black community.
Look,
That's black leadership.
I'm very sensitive to the black community, and I'm tired of you being a fool. I'm tired of you. Look, it's 2020, and we're still fighting the same battles that we fought 30 years ago. It's time to stop, man. It's time to rethink everything that we've done in the past and start saying, hey, here's what we're going to do now. Here's how we're going to fix this problem. And if we're not willing to do that, then we might as well just throw our hands up and say, well, not throw your hands up, but just bend over and say, hit me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
Because that's what's happening to a lot of us now.
Right.
Because we don't get it. You know, we think we got it together and we don't need those same. Look, nothing has changed. See, that's my point.
I agree.
I read a lot of history because, I wasn't feeling well. So I spent a lot of time reading.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. And then I started watching Watchmen.
Yeah, but we keep having the same problems, man. I mean, our problems, the problems that we currently face are the same problems we've faced forever.
Exactly.
Nothing has changed. I mean, we still got the same issue with the police. The only difference now between the police shooting us is that then the police was shooting us because we were fighting for our rights, right?
Right.
They were shooting us and hanging us and doing all kind of craziness.
And getting away with it.
Yeah, it was like they are today.
That's my point.
It never changes. Right?
See, that's my point.
But I think the reason it doesn't change is because we've never taken an economic stance. And so by that I mean, again, shopping in North Little Rock or really being diligent in selecting the candidates who run for us. Because if you know...
But whose fault is that we haven't taken that economic stance?
Man, I have to. Unfortunately, I have to call out black leadership because when you have black leadership, be it whomever, elected officials or black or organizations that claim they work for black folk, they never take stands on issues like that. Now, I was really proud of the DPA, the Democratic Party of Arkansas, when Michael John took over. I texted him right away and said, "Great, that was a great statement." He released a statement about the shooting. When I think it was Blackshear, when Blackshear was shot, he released a statement. I think it was Blackshear. I want to say it was Blackshear. I'm not sure, but he released a statement, and I thought it was amazing. That's the first time any organization other than in all fairness, Dale Charles, when he was the president of the NAACP, he did release one statement, and I'm trying to remember who it was, and I don't think it was the Blackshear. I think it was around the Ellison proceedings, because man, I was really frustrated with everything that was happening. And I just started asking people, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to speak up about this? And Charles actually sent out a statement about that. But that's my point, though. I mean, we aren't challenging the people who proclaim to be working for black folks. This is a black issue. This is an issue that impacts our community. And I don't understand how anybody can sit by the wayside and be content with what happens before or after, right?
So what you're saying is that these people that are running for legislature,
yeah,
or justice of the peace,
or city board of
or
directors,
city board of directors that claim that they are for black people, because many of them, just because they black, they say they for black people.
Yeah, but you know
we got to start calling them on the table.
So when you see these things happen in Minneapolis, when you see these things happen in I'm trying to think of the places where people spoke out, elected officials in where was Michael Brown from?
I
Can't even think of the name of the town.
Ferguson.
Mm-hmm. When you start seeing black elected officials in these places start to speak up and talk about it, that creates a movement, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we've never had the movement because nobody black in a position of power has spoken out about it. Because we don't have that. Now, in all fairness, I've been told, I don't know it to be true because I haven't researched it yet, but city directors at a certain point aren't allowed to comment on certain things in process, I hear, right? So if you have an officer-involved shooting, they can't comment about the shooting. That's what I heard. I need to research it. I haven't researched it.
Well, I understand that because they don't want to
influence
or taint the outcome of the proceedings. But you may not comment directly,
yeah.
But you can make comment.
You have to.
You can make a general statement.
You have to.
Okay, so to take that literally, okay, but you can make a general statement about what you need to say, what you need to do, things of that nature. You don't have to specifically, it's like driving I might drive a brand new Corvette, but I could say, well, I do have a nice car.
Right.
I'm not talking about my Corvette. You see what I'm saying? So there's ways that you can make comments. So to simply be silenced on the issue is ridiculous to me, particularly when it comes to a death of a person. And particularly if that's happening in your community. Unless there's a law, do that research. I'm curious. Because unless there's a law, unless that's just decorum, that's one thing.
I think it might be decorum. I haven't researched it. I don't know for a fact yet. But the thing is that you haven't had... Mr. Ellison was shot in his house by two officers, and there was no outcry.
Right.
At all. Right? He was shot in his house. Mm-hmm. He was in his house.
Right.
Two officers entered his house and shot and killed him, and there was no outcry from the black community.
Right.
Or the black leadership of the black community. So, for me, that speaks volumes. That says to me in a nutshell, it says two things. To me, this is me personally. Right? It says two things. One, they don't care.
Right.
Or two, they can't speak. Mm-hmm. They can't speak. Haven't been instructed to speak. Because, as we know, in our city, sometimes our elected officials have to be instructed on what they can speak to and not speak to. And that's because we don't own them. We don't fund their campaigns. We don't do any of that. So they don't have to do what we want them to do because we don't fund their campaigns. They go to the larger white community to have their campaigns funded. Now, people always try to call me on this. Am I saying that black folks don't give money to campaigns? Not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we don't give enough, and enough black folks giving money to campaigns.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and a lot of people don't understand. But look, let me put it this way, and I'm not going to be as politically correct as Robert is. If you ain't shopping at black businesses, hell no, you ain't funding black campaigns. Now, I said it. Think about that. Okay? If you're not shopping at a black business, hey, look, logic dictates that you're not supporting black campaigns. Okay?
My brother.
When was the last time somebody gave something to Joyce Elliott? In fact, next month I'm planning to send her $100.
I'm down with Jay Elliott.
Okay? So I challenge you all. Next month I'm sending Joyce Elliott $100. All right? Even if you can pay $25 a month, that's a challenge to black people in this city.
I'm going to figure out a way to max her, man. I'm going to figure out a way to try to max her. I ain't never maxed a candidate. I'm going to figure out a way I can max her. I don't know
How much
yet.
can she get a
The max is 27.
2,700?
Yeah. I'm going to figure out a way to max her, man.
Well,
I need to figure that out.
Well, I'm just saying we have got to start doing a better job, and certainly our leaders that
But you know what? We can start giving. I mean, because between now and the election in November, man, we can give $100 a month,
Right.
$50 a month, $45 a month,
$25.
Well, not a month. We can give $25 a week, or if you can only do $25 a month, do that.
Right.
But the thing is, we have to buy them back, and we ain't got to do it all at once. Come up with a plan. I mean, you know what? Look at it like this: if you're a guy and you go out and drink every Friday, and you spend $50 every Friday drinking, get Joyce half of it. Give her $25 every Friday.
Yeah.
That's it.
Drink well instead of top shelf.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, bro.
Okay.
That's it.
Drink well instead of call. Call is like Jack.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop drinking Remy.
Okay.
I'm gonna start drinking I don't know, some Charter House or something.
Exactly, or just some
I'm gonna
scotch.
scale it down.
There you
Scale
go.
it down. But my point is, where we are now, man, we have to make it. We just have to buy back our candidates if we want issues that are important to us to be addressed. We got to do it. We got to do it.
Well, until we get that, this is going to continue.
Yeah, I think this is all, man. This is like everything else in the black community, man. It's just a lack of knowledge because our brightest and strongest abandon our community, and we never get to learn these things.
Well,
Like you, Dave.
See,
I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. I gotta hit you at least once today.
you want to make it through this year?
No, I really don't.
It may not be a happy new year for you.
but you understand my point, right? You got the people who are brightest and strongest and sharpest. Instead of standing in the black community, they often abandon us.
Right.
And then they go back and talk about how bad the black community is. Well, if the
Well,
black
see,
community is bad, that's your fault.
That's your fault, and that's what I'm saying. Same with gentrification. Gentrification only happens because you move and abandon your community.
I can't say that. Oh, yeah, that's what happens. But I can't say that gentrification, because, see, everybody tries to give you this, everybody tries to make you believe that gentrification happens because people come in and buy up the land. Well, they can't buy up the land if you live in
If you don't, exactly.
They can't buy up the land if you don't let it, if we don't allow it to run down. Mm-hmm. And so I think so I'm gonna give you a great example of why I think gentrification is BS, right? So let's take 12th Street for a great example. Let's take 12th and Lewis to about 16th and Lewis over to or let's go over to Pine and then come back up, right? Mm-hmm. So in that box, you got a ton of houses that are abandoned. You got a ton of vacant lots, right? Now, if you are building on that, and if you are buying those houses and rehabbing them, then nobody can come in and gentrify them.
Exactly.
You with me? Mm-hmm. So you can't blame, and then people go, I know people can come back and say, well, they don't have the resources. There are black people in Little Rock who have the resources to go into neighborhoods like that and rehab them and live there, but they don't.
Exactly.
I'm not knocking them because my mama said don't knock people for where they want to live. Okay, mama, I want you to text me. I'm not knocking them for where they want to live. But my point is, to me,
I'm knocking them, mama.
I ain't got no love for you. Because you hurt us when you leave our community.
Right.
You hurt us. Because, dude, when I understood how this whole thing works, check this out. So when they start doing census data and they looking at incomes, they looking at all this stuff. The city spends money where they see a need to invest, right?
Right.
So they don't see a need to invest in a community like ours now because most of the people there are seniors, right? And they're only getting their retirement. If they worked a job that went overseas, then more than likely they took their retirement and probably most of them paid their houses off and did repairs to their homes, that kind of stuff, right? So the only income they have is their Social Security income, whatever that number is, right? And so when you start doing numbers and you start having conversations, that's where you start seeing neighborhoods like ours that don't get the attention they deserve because the city doesn't make that investment. They're making an investment in West Little Rock and downtown and other places where those income numbers are going up and where other people are making the investment. So that's our fault as black folks as a collective.
Right. But part of that is because we're ignorant. But, the interesting thing is, so say, for instance, you grew up in that neighborhood. Your mama and your daddy, whoever it is, they own that house, and you tired of that house. Okay, so when you go off and get your big job, instead of moving mama out of that neighborhood, you can still move mama out that neighborhood. Don't sell that house.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep that house. Because what does that... See, that does a number of things, but more importantly, part of creating generational wealth is real estate.
Right.
Okay? So if you're wondering, well, how do white people always get all this and all? Because they create generational wealth. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're renting, you're paying rent to who? White folks.
Most times, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
White folks. So why can't you collect that rent? Why can't you have a rental company working on your behalf so you don't have to deal with Sally Mae not paying the rent? They just call up and say, ma'am, your rent's late. That's how you fix this problem. But I think a lot of it still, Robert, today has to do with ignorance.
I wouldn't say ignorance, just say they're uninformed, uneducated.
Isn't that what ignorance is?
No, Dad.
What is ignorance?
It's not that.
Do I need to look it up?
I'm not calling my people ignorant.
I didn't call them ignorant. To not know something is ignorant.
We're just uninformed, Dave.
That's ignorance.
Those things have not been taught to us in our communities. Our parents don't. I'm still not going to agree with you, Dave. Our parents in most cases haven't taught us that information. They haven't taught us about supporting campaigns because who taught them? We all don't know about supporting campaigns and the importance of supporting campaigns and what that means and how that looks. Nobody's taught us that, Dave.
According to Webster,
Okay, Jesus.
the word ignorance means lack of knowledge or information.
Okay, my people are not ignorant. They have a lack of information. I don't like that. I don't like the ignorant thing. I don't like that word. I don't like it.
You sit up here and dog people every day on this show and you get sensitive about the word ignorance.
I'm very selective about what I call my black folk. I'm very selective about that.
I don't look. You know what?
I call black folk.
You know what? I don't know rocket science.
Do you even like black folk, Dave?
Sometimes. I'm gonna be honest. Sometimes y'all get on my nerves. This dumb stuff y'all do. Man, I don't know rocket science, so I'm ignorant of rocket science. That's not a bad thing.
I'm very selective about what I call black folk. I won't call black folk ignorant. I'm gonna call them uninformed.
Lack of knowledge.
I'd rather call them uneducated.
Lack of knowledge,
I'd rather do that than say ignorant.
That's what this definition says.
I'm selective
Google it.
about that, brother.
I'm just, hey Jackie, hey Fahim. Generational wealth, according to Fahim, is a must. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is what we've got to do, folks. We've got to continually talk about this, but then we've got to put our money where our mouth is. That's how we're going to save ourselves. That's how we're going to save our people. Hey, I've said over and over again, if the government wanted to save you, you'd have been saved in 1965 with the Emancipation Proclamation. What happened then? Nothing.
Man, I haven't made my contribution to the candidates running. I need to do that. I haven't done it yet.
To what candidates?
To the candidates running for state rep. I haven't done it yet. I forgot. I haven't done it.
So you're donating to all of them?
Yeah, I was gonna give $200 to Joy, $100 to Joy, and $100 to Ryan. But now they got 4. I'm gonna give everybody $50 a piece.
Oh,
Man, be quiet. There you go.
isn't that special? I ain't giving nothing.
Well, I can't talk about buying back our candidates if I ain't trying to buy them back. That's kind of hypocritical, don't you think?
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but right now, maybe I'm just being a contrarian. I ain't been moved by none of them. I'm sorry, man. I mean, if I say we got to hold our candidates accountable, just like you say we got to buy them back, then you gotta make me feel like you're gonna do something. You know what I'm saying?
The thing is that we, as a black community, the criteria we've based on electing our candidates is really jaded. We don't base it on an institutional knowledge. We don't base it on.
What you mean we?
Black folk.
What you talking about? I do.
I can't separate you, Dave. You part of the collective. It's not enough of us doing that we can say that we are doing it. It's not enough of us, Dave. I mean, I'm sorry. It's not enough of us doing that we can say, hey, we're all working on this together. It's not enough of us. It's not enough of us doing it.
Well, I'm just saying, none of them are moving me. None of them are doing. I mean,
but what do you? Okay, if they haven't taken the time to understand the community and what the issues are, and how to address them, and what things are there to fix them, then how can you expect to get something from them? I mean, seriously, how can you?
You just made my point.
Yeah, but again, that's why I say the way we grade our candidates is jaded, because we only go by, oh, he is really nice, he speaks well, oh my God, and he has a degree, oh my God.
That's my Sarah. That's my Sarah.
I mean, that's what we base our criteria on, and unfortunately,
What's up, frat? What's up, frat? Y'all vote for my frat.
I've had friends who run for office, and I did not.
I'm so sick of that.
I did not openly support them, because the thing is I can't.
They still your friends?
They're still my friends, but I can't support you because to me it's like a slap in the face. If I cared enough to do the work, then you got to care enough too. I can't support you just because you're running, just because you're my homie.
Right.
But you got to do the work. Mm-hmm. Now, anywhere else, we'd be pissed off if somebody was on our job and they got a promotion and they ain't did the work. Mm-hmm. But we do that with candidates every day.
I agree.
They ain't did the work, but we promote them. We promote them. Mm-hmm. And then we sit back. We don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. What I mean, so how can you expect things to get better if you're not promoting people who've done the work? And how do you know if they've done the work? You don't know if they've done the work by reading that little brochure. Nope. I can put whatever I want on that brochure. Mm-hmm. You know they've done the work. Google them. Look at what they've done. Ask them how many board meetings they've been to. Ask that stuff. Do you even know what a state capitol is? You know what I'm saying?
It's that big white building.
Yeah. Do you even know where it is? I mean, because we never ask the questions. I don't think we ever ask the important questions. And if they show up on the 8th, we're going to ask the important questions. The only person we've heard back from so far is Ryan Davis, right?
They're not going to show.
Well, they don't. We'll have 2 hours with Ryan. I don't care. Show. I don't care. But my point is that we cannot continue to elect people who cannot do the work.
I agree.
Right? And this is the thing. This is the thing I want to make clear.
And to be able to do the work, you got to have some prerequisites before being able to do that work.
This is the thing. So this is what I told people when I ran in 2018. I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and tell you I'm going to get nothing passed by the board. I can't do it. Mm-hmm. It ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. What I've done, or what I did, is I identified things that were already there that we could implement to get some stuff done. Mm-hmm. You with me? Because I ain't going to get no vote on the board. Mm-hmm. And is anybody telling you, oh yeah, we're going to be nonpartisan? BS. Now, Joyce Elliott, she told me that. I could go with it. Mm-hmm. Linda Chesterfield, I could go with it. But these new cats, no. Mm-hmm. You can't do that.
Right.
Because if you could, you'd be introducing stuff, but you haven't.
Right.
You with me? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, for one, we don't even know the questions to ask because we're not as, most black folks aren't as immersed in politics as you and I are, right? So they don't even know the questions to ask.
Sounds like ignorance to me.
Uninformed, Dave. Why do you want to keep calling my folks ignorant, man?
I'm not calling them ignorant. I'm calling their lack of knowledge ignorant. Because if you want to learn, then you go out and seek that knowledge. And that's been the problem with our people, is that we just sit around and let any old pigeon drop on us, the pigeon drop. And then we get mad because, well, he said, she said, if I voted for her, they go do this, they go do that. One of the issues that you all ought to be talking to these candidates about is police brutality. That's one of the major issues in our community.
Well, this is what I don't like. See, you just said we should be talking to them about it. No, we shouldn't be we shouldn't be asking. We should be saying to them, how do you feel about police brutality? First and foremost, if elected, what are you going to do to address it?
That's what I meant, but I'm sorry I didn't put it in your political vernacular.
Well,
you know,
thank you. I just wanna make sure
you
you
being
get that right.
a former activist and advocate.
I want to make sure former. Make sure you say former. Former. I'm done. I'm no longer there, my brother.
But I mean, you're right. That's what we ought to be asking. You know, we ought to be asking about what are you're running for District 34 or 30, 39, whatever. What are you going to do for this district? What are your plans for this district? You see, what are your goals for this district? I know you got to work in a larger function, but you should have some specific goals for District 284.
You know, people talk to me about running for 34, and I told them it's not my space, right? I haven't been to the state. I don't have enough institutional knowledge about the state.
But you're a big black man. You scare the hell out of a lot of white boys.
I don't think so. I don't have
It's
enough.
Robert!
I don't have enough. Stop, man. But honestly, me assessing myself, I would not make a good state legislator because I don't have, at this point, I don't have the knowledge that I could go in there and get stuff done.
Okay, so you make an excellent point. So based on these 4 candidates, can you say the same thing?
Yeah.
And that's what's scary.
Well, you could say that about almost any candidate that runs for an elected office. They haven't done the work.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is because I have seen what happens when. I think Director Rich is a great example of what you get with guys who've went in and done the work, or people who've went in and done the work. Senator Elliott, Senator Chesterfield, even to some degree Donna Massey on the Corn Court. I'm trying to think there's one other person I'm missing, and I apologize. That's why I should name drop. But there are people who you see the stuff that they get done, and you can see that they've done the work to get it done.
Right.
Right. So that's my point. When you have things that don't happen, the reason those things don't happen is because you've elected somebody who has no clue. They have no clue.
So is that what people in District 34 are about to do?
To some degree, yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being real.
I'm not either. I mean, it just is what it is. But again, they're only going to be there for 2 months.
Again,
so
nice people.
They got to run again in March, so it doesn't matter.
Nice people.
I think they're great people. I think they're all great, but they haven't done the work. And we have
people take offense when we say that.
When you say that, but they haven't.
I agree. Don't scream at me. I agree with you.
Well, no. My point is that people get upset about it, but again, if you work at your job and you've been doing all this extra stuff to make sure that you can do your job, and then you got somebody who they get there late, they leave early, they show up at meetings and they sleep. You with me? And then they get the promotion and you don't. Would you not be pissed off?
Oh, yeah.
But that's what we do every time we elect somebody. We elect that person who shows up late, leaves early, sleeps in the meetings.
Yep.
You with me? Honestly, are they doing those things? No. But technically, that's what we're doing.
Well, we got a lot of work to do in our community, and we can't sit around any longer, which reminds me, you all need to go out to vote.org. That's vote.org, and check your voter registration. Because even if you donate money to these candidates, if you don't get out on election day, it's not going to matter. And right now, across the country, Republicans, or repugnants as I call them, are simply, where did I think, was it Georgia, where they are removing 90,000 former registered voters from the rolls.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay?
Makes perfect sense.
Now, a lot of those removals are based on bad addresses and things of that nature. So if you simply, and this makes it easy. It used to be you had to go down to the election office, and then you had to call them. If you simply go to vote.org, all you have to do is go out there and put in some basic information, no matter where you are, and it will tell you whether or not you're registered to vote. Now, just because you're expunged from the voter rolls, that doesn't mean that you can't re-register. unless you've got some type of felony or something along those lines. Okay? So all I'm asking you guys to do is that we've got to take this serious. All right? Not only do we need to do it at the ballot box, but we need to support these people with our dollars and say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do, and these are our expectations for you going forward. Because if we don't start doing this, we're going to continue to get what we get, and that's nothing. Nothing. Okay? So I just want to remind you all of that. All right, we're going to take the top of the hour break. When we come back, George Lopez makes an interesting comment about Donald Trump.
I didn't hear that one.
I think we'll enjoy that here in a little bit. And we've got a lot of other stuff coming up as well. We got a lot of stuff to cover, man. Woo! It was a long 2 weeks. A lot of stuff happened. And by the way, did you get what you wanted for Christmas? I didn't. But then again, I didn't ask for anything. I got a new daughter-in-law.
Merry Christmas, guys.
You know, and she cute too.
I saw the pictures, man. She's kind of hot.
Man, and can I just say something before I go to break?
Of course you can.
Do women wear drawers anymore?
Jesus Christ.
We'll be back in a moment.
Jesus Christ. Stop it, black man.
Oh man, because boy, at that reception, oh man, I'm like, okay.
How do you see that?
And let the world
Go down to statistics and listeners.
I know what you're thinking. Advertising is so expensive. I've got a great package for you that will cut your expense and increase your bottom line.
Man, let's see, most of these are from the Little Rock area.
615-554-0.
At least Summit, Missouri. You know some people up there?
Yeah, we got some people listening up there. A couple of brothers.
Okay.
Tell the world, hey, I'm in business.
I'm surprised my Los Angeles people aren't listening today.
In my store. Let us help you at Jordan Radio.
Probably listening. Just,
Here's the number.
you know what? They usually listen the second hour.
5540568. We are here to assist you in building your home.
So how was KC?
KC was cool. I ain't done yet. I gotta go back.
You ain't been to the Negro League Museum yet?
Man, nah. And I went to Gates and forgot to get the barbecue sauce. I'm gonna bring it back to you. Next time I go, I'm bringing it.
Man, you need to go to the Negro League Museum, man. I'm telling you.
I just want to check it out.
That's one of the best museums I've been to. And those baseballs of all those signed Negro Leaguers, man, that's powerful. And they got a replica baseball field where they've got all the top Negro Leaguers at their position
Really?
in the museum. I mean, it's cool, man.
Takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional service they offer. Cremations, funeral plannings, burial
Stage fight? What's stage fight?
I
I don't know what that is.
Mitchell Funeral Home, Arkadelphia, 877
Winamp, Apple iPhone. These are going straight through the website right there.
So we got two going straight to the
One
web.
of the secrets Jesus talked about when he talked about, I will give you the keys of the kingdom, is the principle of
Mozilla, that's on Firefox, so they'll
You
probably...
get the video done yet?
No, we need to get that done this week or this month.
That's Wealth Credit Solutions.
We can help you with fake roses.
Because we're gonna crank it up. As a matter of fact, we got to get some brochures out, and let's start looking at. Did we ever look at how much a billboard costs?
Go digital and get debt free.
I want to do a billboard.
All right, let's get one. I think we can get a cheap pill.
Right, I want to do a
We
billboard.
get it before the election.
Right.
For every no, your credit will be the key to your yes. WealthPlusConcierge.com. WEALTH.
And I'm looking to get a company to brand the studio.
For Wealth Credit Solutions.
That's a good idea.
In other words,
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views
Coming
and
from
opinions
the
of the
XYZ
station,
company
its
studio.
management, or its advertisers.
I'm looking to
Now,
do that.
Let's get ready to focus
In
on
fact, I'm gonna
our
go talk. It's
issues,
a car
our
dealer.
solutions
I'm
using
gonna go
our
talk to
voices
him
on Black Focus Radio.
today.
Welcome to
I was out, man. He got
Black
some nice
Focus,
rides out on his lot. I was out there the other day. He had a black truck out there, man.
focus on our issues.
I was like, man, I like that black truck.
Using our voice.
I used to have a black Dodge back in the day, boy. Black Dodge Dakota.
Get ready. Black Focus
Black on black with red interior. Stick in the floor. I was a bad truck, man.
Here's your host, David W. Kops.
Drove the hell out of it.
Robert Webb.
Up and down the highway. All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show, Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Over the weekend, of course, your president, PLOTUS, have you ever heard of do you remember the term yellow cake?
I have not.
You don't remember the term yellow cake?
I don't. First time I've ever heard it.
No, you've heard it. In fact, the last time that term came up, we went to war
Wow.
because it was the Republicans back in 2003 who claimed that Iraq had synthesized yellow cake, which is from uranium ore, in order to make a nuclear weapon. In other words, they lied to us because none of that stuff was ever found. So over the weekend, your president decided that he was going to bomb an Iraqi general, did so and killed him at the Baghdad airport. And they're claiming that they did it to keep them from attacking Americans. Now, I don't believe a damn word Republicans say, let alone Donald Trump. So all of the shows, the news shows yesterday, were trying to get some type of, I guess you could say, some type of evidence, not secret evidence, but
Right.
some evidence to tell us specifically what the Iraqi or the Iranian general had done.
Okay.
They could not produce any of it, or would not produce any of it. Oh, we can't tell you that. But trust us. Trust us. So now most of the military now is on high alert. They've sent 3,500 troops to Iraq. And potentially we could be headed towards World War III.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm bringing this up because I find it interesting because a lot of people over the weekend were posting memes black people saying, hey, I love the one where someone had circled Mar-a-Lago in Florida and said, hey, we black people, here he is right here.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought that was pretty funny. But apparently the Iranians have put out an $80 million reward for Donald Trump's head. I can see it in your eye. No, Robert. No, Robert. No, don't think it. No.
No.
But here's the thing. If I'm the Iranians, I got a couple of things I can do and never attack America.
Okay.
You know what they are?
Tell me.
How many Donald Trump hotels are there around the world?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you have one incident in one Donald Trump hotel,
Bingo.
that kills everything, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because see, what does he care about?
They care about them hotels, man.
He care about money.
Yeah, they care about them hotels.
Okay? So how do I affect him the most? See, because if I bomb America, then
That's a whole nother issue.
That's a
But
different
if
issue.
If you bomb the hotel, he's still coming after you just as well.
well, no, because
We've seen him use his position to
He'll-
ingratiate himself personally.
he'll try, but our military is not.
All he has to do is say, y'all go, and they gotta go. It's
Well,
not like they got an
no.
option.
They have to be funded by. So that's the one thing people forget.
Yeah, they gotta be funded by Congress. And Congress will fund this.
No, not the Democrats.
Man,
not the Democrats.
you keep thinking that we talking about.
But-
See, this is why we always end up arguing about this.
Now, look, here's the one thing that I look. I firmly believe that the Democrats detest this guy. Okay? Now, they might have Republican colleagues, but Donald Trump, and I would argue if some of those Republicans could be put in a room by themselves and talked freely, I firmly believe that many of them detest him as well.
Yeah, but you know what?
Okay.
I gotta work with you though.
Oh, I
And
agree.
Not only that, if you create an issue with somebody, I gotta ride with you. Because think about all these Democrats who voted for the war in 2001
Yeah,
or
but
2002.
I agree. I agree.
All these Democrats
So did
voted for the war. Then
Joe
they came
Biden.
back and said, I apologize.
You Joe Biden
I wish
fans.
I had knew more then. I wish I had knew more then.
Well, but and I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is this.
And we give them an out.
I'm simply saying that if I'm Iran, I go and attack one of his hotels. Okay?
You're horrible.
Okay?
Quit giving ideas, Dave.
I'm just saying it. Look,
When the CIA rush in and the Secret Service rush in and pick us up, I'm gonna make sure I point at your gun.
Hey.
That's Dave Kops.
hey, but I'm just saying we're talking strategy here.
Yeah, but
We're talking world politics here.
I don't see it. I don't see it not happening. I've been thinking it was going to happen the whole time, now, but I didn't think it would come from Iran. I thought it would come from somebody else, but I've been seeing it happen. I've been thinking in my head that something like that would eventually happen.
Well, I'm just saying if I'm the Iranians, because if they attack a military installation,
Yeah.
then it's on and popping. Unfortunately.
So just before I forget, right? Joyce sent me Joyce. There's a link to Joyce, so you can make a contribution. JoyceElliott.com.
Oh,
you
so
can
she's
make
listening.
A contribution to JoyceElliott.com.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to send her some money because we need her to win. We really do.
Without a doubt.
But I'm just saying, if you want to be strategic about this, and see, they have a lot of proxy groups. I'd go attack one of his hotels.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That would
Yeah.
that would hurt him in the pocketbook, and he can't use the military to support his private properties. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I agree.
So if I'm Iran, that's why he ain't thinking. Now, I don't know if the Iranians are thinking, but if I'm them, I don't know. I'm not going to go and attack American military installations because then that's going to happen? That's going to open up another kind of worms we don't want to deal with.
Right.
But if I go and attack one of his hotels, then all of a sudden, because I'm not the one that's saying this, all over the weekend, people were putting up, the news media was talking about the multiple Trump properties that were around the world. I didn't know he had that many.
Yeah, but you got to remember too, a lot of those just own his name. He does not own the building.
He doesn't own the building, but he gets money
He gets
for
money
it.
from him. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
They pay him to put his name on it.
Exactly. So all I got to do is look. All I got to do look. Here's Trump properties in Turkey, properties.
Yeah.
Okay. All I got to do is hit one.
Do they have any in Iran?
No, I doubt that.
What's the closest one they have to Iran?
Probably Turkey.
Turkey's okay. That's the closest one.
I'm just saying if I own the and look, CTV has put up a map of Trump properties around the world. He's got them in Asia. He's got them in South America. You see what I'm saying?
Oh man.
He's got them all over the place.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Americans, please don't stay at Trump properties, please.
So he's got one in Saudi Arabia. He's got two in India. He's got two in Turkey.
Dave is giving up the.
He's got one in South Korea. He's got one in Japan. He's got one in Indonesia. Man, when you like that, you know what hurts a white businessman worse than anything else?
What?
His wife can cheat on him. His wife can go out and screw a football team full of black players. And, Melania, I'll just leave that alone. But you take his money, that's what hurt him. And if they go after his money, which are those properties, he'd be hurt. But with that being said, the Iranians put an $80 million bounty on his head. Here's what George Lopez said. He said, "We'll do it for half."
George's sick, man. He is sick. We'll do it for half.
So, and let's see, as of 10:40 p.m. on Sunday night, the Instagram tweet had received more than 350 replies and nearly 1,200 likes. Some of the reactions were outraged, though. Secret Service should take a look at this.
So I'm curious, why are we fighting them? Because I don't remember. Maybe I missed it.
Because Obama signed a pact with them.
Oh, gotcha.
You get that, right? Because everything that Obama did, he's trying to undo it.
Well, you know, for me, this is my thinking. Always been my thinking that if he's really trying to upstage Obama, then black folk, we should be going to him saying, "Hey, man, give black people reparations, man.
Yeah.
Rip him up, man. You want to? Obama didn't do it. You should do it."
Yeah. And then, of course, your boy Mike Pence came out on Sunday claiming that Soleimani had ties to 911. He's an idiot, man.
No, man. It's just you just getting ready for the war, man. That's how you set it up. I mean, they're taking a page out of George Bush's playbook, right?
But see, fortunately,
You gotta tie something to the.
but a lot of the media wasn't going for that. It was,
Well,
I loved it.
I'm glad they did.
Right, because the one thing I know, the media learned from the lies of.
We learned from George Bush.
Yeah,
we
they learned
George
from that.
Bush.
And when he came out with that mess, they ripped him to shreds. Now, here's the argument here. That he claims that some of the hijackers had to go through Iran in order to get to the United States. That's true. But guess where else they had to go through?
Where?
Turkey and Saudi Arabia.
Well, hold on, bro. The thing that we never discuss is that 12 of those guys were from Saudi Arabia.
No. 19 of them were from Saudi
Was it
Arabia.
19?
Yes.
We never had that discussion.
Right. So
we never had that discussion.
Exactly. So my point when I saw that.
Why are we going to Iraq when we should be going to Saudi Arabia? Like,
Remember,
what's up, dog?
I said yellow cake.
Yeah, we got a problem player.
Right. So the point I'm making is this. Is that if that were true from Mike Pence, what he said, that instead of bombing Iraq, instead of bombing Iran, you ought to be bombing the hell out of Saudi Arabia right now.
Yeah,
because not only did they come from Saudi Arabia, there have been reports that I read years ago that some of the Omans and kings in Saudi Arabia funded them. Where it wasn't just Osama bin Laden.
Well, you got to remember, though, Iran at the time had the second largest oil reserve in the world.
And guess what happened over the last week?
What?
They just found a $50 billion field of oil.
Yeah, where, in Iraq?
In Iran.
In Iran, yeah. That's why we go to war with these people, man. It ain't about nothing else but money.
Now you're
It's
getting to
about the
where
money.
I'm headed.
Because think about this. They broke up. So supposedly they broke up the oil fields of Iraq and they gave them to Saudi, Iran, and somebody else. They split them up.
Well, they didn't give them to Iran.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, and by the way, the Muslims are if what he said is true, the Iranian Muslims are Shiites.
Shiites, yeah. Sunnis and Shiites, yeah.
They're not Sunnis, they're
No, I'm
Shiites.
saying that Sunni and Shiites
Right.
in Iran. That's why they're always in conflict.
Exactly. So the hijackers were Sunni. They would not have been aided by Iran. No. You understand
Not at all.
that?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they would not have been aided by Iran. You see that? So if you don't understand that, that's why you got to read.
Yeah, well, because again, he was expecting them to just go, "Oh, really?"
Right. All Muslims are not the same, just like all Christians are not the same.
Yeah, but I don't think you got to remember too. Back then in 2002, nobody even cared about details, right? We know that two buildings fell, a bunch of people were murdered, a bunch of people were killed. all we want is revenge. We don't care. They got what? They said, my mama, when you leaving? Right? That was it. I mean, really, that's how we were. I mean, George Bush all but said, you can come with me if you want to, but if you ain't, I'm still going. Right? I mean, he pretty much told, how you go to the League of Nations and say, hey, listen, we want to declare war. Bush went up and said, hey, we going. If you come, you come. If you don't, you don't, but we still going.
But you didn't declare war on the people who did the actual bombing.
No, you didn't.
You declared war on Iraq because you were mad at Saddam Hussein because he had said that he was going to kill your daddy.
He got your daddy. Yeah, he pushed your daddy back.
Right. And here's the irony. If you don't understand the politics, a lot of people don't realize that it was Iraq who was our proxy with the Iran-Iraq war. We were funding Iraq. Saddam Hussein was our friend. And then because he decided, and many believe that he decided that he was going to try and develop an economic currency with Africa, that's when they decided that they wanted to go in and destroy Iraq. And by the way, Condoleezza Rice is a war criminal who needs to be in jail.
Why is she a war criminal, Dave, in your opinion?
Just like Donald Reagan.
Well, you have to say Colin Powell's also a war criminal. You have to lump them all in that together.
Colin Powell,
on her.
George W. Bush, Dick Cheney.
Ooh.
Okay. Now the word is about this Qasem Soleimani bombing is the fact that he orchestrated the killing of a executive from Halliburton. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Yeah, that's Dick Cheney's former company.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one is not. That one doesn't give me pause because I mean Halliburton was over there during the war. They were. I mean, people talked about it. They were visibly, over there doing their thing because that was part of their investment. They made $1 billion. They were making $1 billion.
Dick Cheney made a mint.
They were making $1 billion a month from the war. So I'm not surprised by that. Right? So did he get killed in Iraq or what was he killed?
He was killed apparently in Iraq.
Well, yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right? He was in a war zone. So, okay. If you in a war zone, you get killed. So you're going to blame it on one person? You can blame it on the United States. You can blame it on George Bush. You can blame it on one person.
I agree because, hey, if Iraq wouldn't be in the situation that it's in if it wasn't for George Bush.
And plus, I have yet to wrap my mind around. I mean, if you know, and I'm not condoning the actions of Saddam Hussein, so I don't want people texting me and saying that I am. But Saddam Hussein was a dictator, so he didn't allow craziness in this country.
No, he didn't.
Because he did not want the U.S. at his door, so he himself would have went out and killed those guys had he known the plan was afoot. Because again, he didn't want the United States breathing down his neck.
Well, Saddam Hussein and Iraq had nothing to do with it.
No, nothing at all.
Period.
But they were easy targets.
They used it as an excuse.
Yeah, they were easy targets, yeah.
And we never found the yellow cake.
There was no yellow cake to find.
It sure wasn't unless it was the birthday party.
And even your boy Colin Powell went to the UN and told that lie.
Yep.
And I think he told that. I think at the time when he told the lie, he thought it was the truth.
But that's why he moved on because he realized that he had been lied to by Dick Cheney.
Well, they all had been lied to.
Well, Condoleezza.
It was orchestrated.
But Condoleezza kept perpetuating the lie when she knew it wasn't true.
Well, so you saying that she's a black version of Sarah Huckabee?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
She knew.
That's fair.
She knew. That's why somebody posted something, a quote by her, and I said, "This woman is a war criminal." A lot of black women came on and posted, "Oh, that's just terrible."
Yeah, because
she is a war criminal.
We support.
By the way, here's a new name someone posted about Mike Pence, and I like this because I call the Christian evangelist in this city, in this country, the Christian Taliban. Mm-hmm. I think I like this one better.
Okay.
Talibangelist.
Cool. All right, I get it.
One who demands religious freedom for themselves, but imposes their beliefs on others with severe penalty for non-compliance and would gladly sacrifice the Constitution in order to do so. A Talibangelist. I really like that one. Okay,
that.
because to some extent, that's what some of these Christian evangelists are. I mean, when you start telling me Donald Trump was sent by God, you know what I started? Has anyone ever seen the quatrains of Nostradamus? Did y'all know who Nostradamus is? Nostradamus was an early century writer who many believe that he predicted many of the things that were going to take place in the future.
Okay.
Have you not seen these? When you get a chance, go look up Nostradamus. One of the things that he said, he predicted Hitler almost to his name. Instead of saying Hitler, Hitler, he called him Histler. These are the quatrains of Nostradamus.
That's right.
Okay? So he predicted that there would be 3 major world wars. We've already had 2. He predicted that the 3rd one would be promulgated by someone from the East.
That would be.
And many of us assumed that that meant Middle East.
Right.
Where's Donald Trump from?
No, stop. You're trying to say the East Coast, huh? Man, I love the way y'all draw these parallels, man. Y'all make these guys. Donald Trump is from the East. He is
But
from
he
the East Coast.
is. And look, is he not a dictator? He's a wannabe dictator. And what is he doing? He's threatening the world with nuclear Armageddon.
But he also threatened them, and then at the last minute, he changed his mind. Cooler heads prevailed. I don't know. But I mean, I think it's important that people understand that we're at a point now where we can fight these things. We can have cyber fights with them. So we can send our drones over there, and we ain't got to send actual pilots. We can send our drones over there and do all kind of damage. The thing that I'm concerned about is, I want to know how these drones work. Are they on a battery? You know, how are they fueling these drones? Because that's interesting to me that we've.
What do you mean how they're fueling them?
Because most of these drones don't have gas tanks. So how are they powering them?
Some of them have gas tanks. Some of them are powered by solar energy. But most of them have gas tanks.
So if they ain't getting no sun, they ain't getting no moonlight, they
Right.
just crash, right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
But most of them have gas tanks.
Okay. I'm just curious because I'm thinking to myself, you know, and you know what? And I know this is gonna be crazy, but I've been thinking this the last couple of days, man. So, how many miles a gallon does an airplane get? Because if you fly, because I mean that's like what you're talking 15,000 miles from DC to Iran and back.
No. Those drones are coming from bases that are based in the Middle East.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got bases. In fact, there was a map that was posted on Facebook where it showed all the U.S. Army bases that surrounds Iran. There were like 20 of them, dude.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, they've got base. Or the other thing is, you don't need a base to launch one of those drones. Many of them are launched from aircraft carriers and ships.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
Right. So,
well, the whole point of the drone being able to go is that you don't have to put a human in a plane.
No.
Put them at risk. So
no.
I'm just waiting to see how this whole thing plays out.
Well, it's going to be interesting. One other story that's local I meant to talk about, and I just saw the video. Did you hear what happened to the talk show host on another station?
Man, I knew you were gonna do this. I actually know Eric Sullivan, man.
I said, well, I didn't know that was his name.
Oh God, will you?
What's his name, Eric Sullivan?
Yeah,
How do you know Eric Sullivan?
I've met him a couple of times. I can't remember where now, but I met him a couple of times.
So you don't know him, no?
I don't know him, but I know him. I mean, if I saw him out, he'd speak to me, I'd speak to him.
Okay. So what you all don't know is that Eric Sullivan, who worked at a local sports station.
Allegedly.
Well, I'm looking at the video and ain't allegedly to it.
We don't know the context, Dave.
Oh, so you take money out of a woman's purse.
It could have been his girlfriend.
Is that why she filed charges?
It could have been his girlfriend. Maybe she's just mad at him.
Oh.
We don't know the complete story yet, Dave. We shouldn't be so quick to judge.
I'm not judging. I'm just talking about the video. I mean, ain't they paying you enough money over there, dog?
We don't know the story, Dave.
I'm looking at the story. He's at one of their sponsors, okay, and a lady gets up and leaves the table and leaves her wallet on the table. This young lady worked for this particular establishment, which will go nameless because they're not paying us any money to talk about the name. And she gets up and leaves, and he reaches over and grabs her purse and pulls out some money. That money was a total of $409. Why are you looking at me like that? You didn't know it was that much?
I didn't know it was that much.
$409. The lady who was a server at that establishment apparently had made some good tips that night. Okay? She goes home, looks in her wallet, and me being an ex-server, the first thing you do when you get home, when you know you've had a good night, you pull that money out and you count it before you leave when you cash out your bank. But then you go home and you double count it. And when you have that kind of night, yeah, you go home and you like, woo, I had a good night. She gets home, realizes that her money is missing. She calls the restaurant. The restaurant has surveillance cameras, which I'm looking at right now. And there was your buddy.
He's not my buddy, Dave. I know him. He's not my buddy. So, do we know anything about? Do we know any particulars other than we saw the video and videos without proper context?
You sounding like the damn police now.
Videos,
you sounding like the po man. You sound like the po-po.
Videos without proper context, we can't understand them. So, is there anything else we should know other than
either he's a crackhead or alcoholic,
or as a gambler,
or he's got some type of addiction. Right, he's got some type of addiction. That was the first thing I said because he basically admitted in a statement that I read over the weekend that, hey, I made the biggest mistake of my life, yada yada yada. I'm paraphrasing, okay? That will haunt him for the rest of his life, and he apologized, da 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 da. So when I heard the news and I saw the video, the first thing I thought was, this guy he's got some type of addiction, because you just don't do. Look, you in that position. Look, I remember when I was doing morning drive in Nashville.
You never stole anything?
Hell no, I got everything free. I mean, people, you walk in their restaurant, Dave Coleman, you want a drink? What you having?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't want anything. Well, it's on me. You don't, man, when you in that position, you don't have to pay for anything.
So why do you think
you don't pay for?
Why do you think he stole a foreign dollar?
You don't pay for tickets.
Why do you think he's paid? Why do you think he's
concert going? Look, I'm gonna tell you something.
But why do you think? I'm
gonna answer your question in a moment. So to show you how much clout you have, people listen to me and know I'm a Prince fan.
Right.
Okay. So Prince was coming to Nashville. You know, Prince started doing those pop-up concerts.
Yeah.
So the director of Bridgestone Arena, where the Nashville Predators play, called the station and said, "Hey, Dave, I heard you a big Prince fan. You got your tickets yet?" "No, man, I ain't got tickets yet." "Yeah, you do." I had front row tickets to Prince. Free. Okay? So when you in that position, you pay for little or nothing. Okay? I'm not bragging, but that's just how that industry is. Okay? So to answer your question is that I believe that he has some type of addiction. It's sad, but for you to do that as boldly, look, you go in that place all the time. You had to know they had cameras. In fact, in this day and time, you better be careful because just about everybody and their mama got a camera. They tell you now that don't be surprised because the videotape is always rolling. So anyway, we got a caller. Caller, what's up? Hey, Russ, what's up?
Jump in there and let Robert know that I think I tagged him on Facebook when I posted the server's Facebook page with the video. And this is what happened. I think she was at a table that was behind him. he was at a table with a girl. The server walked away, had her purse on the table, and she walks away. And he turns around and has got it. And what you see on this video is he's already got her purse. His date or whatever she is that's sitting at the table with him, he opens it up and looks at it. He's going through it right while this girl's there. She gets up to go to the bathroom, and he pulls out the $400, and you see him put it in his pocket, and he put the server's purse, little wallet thing, back over on her table.
Yeah. Yep.
And her Facebook post that's out there, I'm trying to look at it now and see if I tagged you guys. I may not have.
You tagged me on it, Russ. I got it.
Yeah, you tagged me on it. I saw it.
And so, you know, she knew this guy because he was in there all the time. And
well, let me just say they are one of his sponsors on that show. So he got all kinds of freebies from them. Okay? So he knew her and they knew him.
Maybe that was a new way of them paying him.
Yeah, okay.
yeah. Her post that I've got on there, she goes through the whole thing that I think either he called her or she called him and, you know, chewed him out or all that kind of stuff. Because she went up there, like you said, Dave, she went back up and looked at the video. And that's what it is. The video that's posted, she, you know, was looking at the monitor, just recorded on her cell phone. And so that was what happened there. I'd be interested to see what the police do because, yes, she got her money back, but the offense still happened. You know, he still did that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
So let me ask you a question. Now, in reading the local rags, as I call them, because you do more investigative work than some of these. In fact, they probably got the news from your post, Russ. I'm willing to bet you they did. But the point I'm confused about is what is the cutoff for whether or not it's a misdemeanor or a felony? Because see, they were saying, I think Channel 7 was saying that she has to press charges. Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
And then the prisons were getting full, so back in about 2008, 2009, they changed it where it had to be like $2,500 or something like that. I don't know that this would be a felony with that being under $500, but it's sure theft, you know.
It certainly is theft. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, I understand that the prosecutor can't charge her unless, well, I mean, he can charge him, but if she refuses to testify, then it goes nowhere. But then again, the prosecutor can, you got the videotaped evidence that you don't really need her testimony because you see him pulling the money out of her. Now, it's different if there was no videotape. But the fact that you see the video says to me that he doesn't need her, Larry Jegley, to prosecute her.
The girl's name, she posted this at January 3rd. I'm not going to give her name out here. On about 11 o'clock in the morning, she said that she had spent the day having fun with a friend. I went to my place of work to enjoy the day off. And he stole $400. She says Eric Sullivan stole $409 out of my wallet. He was caught on camera, clear as day. He was a regular at the restaurant where she worked. He came in almost every day. The money's been returned to me, but I've yet to receive an apology or explanation. And then she goes on, who's to say he hasn't been stealing money every time he came into our restaurant?
But see, Russ, that's my point, is that when you look at this video, that's not someone who is a first-time offender. You understand what I'm saying? No, it isn't.
A mistake was picking up somebody else's purse on a table. The crime was when he stole money out, when he looked in there and stole money out of there.
Well, maybe it was his girlfriend's purse.
Oh, he thought it was his girlfriend's purse. It was accidental.
Yeah, right.
No, because it was on the table behind him.
Exactly, Russ. There's no...
And got it behind him. In fact, I suspect the girl, they probably had it on the table. They had probably over at the bar talking to the bartender since they worked there, and he sees them over there and just gets it.
Well, it wasn't a mistake. Right, it wasn't a mistake. And again, I tend to believe when you see stuff like that, that is not a first time. That's not a first time. He got caught the first time he got caught. But that's not a first time. And
Stop. Y'all wrong. Stop it. Stop it.
what'd you say? Good to have us black together again. Is that what you said, Russ? Yeah, he still didn't bring my barbecue sauce.
I'm bringing the barbecue sauce back next time. Okay. Yeah, I'm retired, Russ. I'm just watching y'all do what y'all do, man. I'm just watching.
Well, y'all keep up the good work as well, Russ. All right.
Thanks, Russ. Peace, bro.
That's Russ Raycott, by the way. If y'all not following him, he is one of the biggest. Y'all think we hellraisers? No, we get a lot of info from Russ.
Yeah.
He Russ the king hellraiser in this city, and boy, he don't have a lot of friends here. But we need people like Russ. You know what? Yeah. We need people like Russ who are willing to tell the truth, regardless of who it may offend.
That's important.
That is so important. That's what really the free press is really all about. Because if we didn't have that in America proper, then where would we be?
That's a good point.
But again, I just thought that was interesting. Just don't leave your wallet out. That's all I'm saying. Dude, come on, man. How you gonna steal that woman's money like that, man?
Maybe he thought it was his girlfriend's wallet, man. He could. I mean, he could have made a very honest mistake, and that could have been a very.
All right. See, now you're gonna make me pull up his apology, because that wasn't a mistake. It just wasn't. That was done maliciously. He knew exactly what he was doing. You can't say the alcohol was talking to me, because I understand he drinks a lot. But again, when you see stuff like that, you begin to realize that there was something else going on. And the first thing I said when I saw the story, was, this dude got a habit. Now, I don't know what habit it is.
For him to steal money but think about the person he was with. What did she say to him? Is there any audio of her saying, "This is how you gonna pay 5 drinks"? I mean, what is it?
No, there was no one at the table. He got the purse off the table.
He was there with somebody.
No, the lady he was sitting with, she got up and left, apparently going towards the bathroom or something. And he was sitting at the table taking the money out. Here's what he said, Eric Sullivan. I need to address something to you all. I've made a monumental career mistake, and I take full responsibility for it. I let many people down, as well as the listeners and great people at that station, and I will own this for the rest of my life. So he's admitting that he screwed up. He's admitting. That's a habit, dude. That's either a crack habit, a gambling habit, an alcohol habit, or all three. Okay? Because look, I've been in that business. He making good money. Okay? He's making good money. Look, he's on every day at the #1 sports station in the state.
Yeah.
He making good money, dude.
Yeah, but
he don't have to pay for nothing. Look, you know what? Let me tell you something. My co-host, because I ain't letting you get through with this. My co-host, in the 14 years that we did Morning Drive in Nashville. Now, I told you about my little trinkets I was getting.
Okay.
Greg never owned a car. You know why?
No.
Because car dealers was giving him trade. All he had to do was say, go to so-and-so car dealer. They'll hook you up with a car. They were loaning him, so every 3 months they give him a different car. You don't have to pay for nothing in that business, dude.
I get that, Dave.
Okay.
But again, I'd like to know. I mean, I just like to know the story. There was a reason the guy did it. Maybe he's just, you know how you see people who go in and steal stuff? Oh, stop. You know how you see people who, you're watching these TV shows and you see people who are just going in and just doing it because it adds excitement. I just like to know the why.
So that means that he was doing it adds excitement. So he's done it before.
Done it before. I just like to know the why, though. I like to know the why. The what was it that, pushed him to do that? That's what I'd like to know. I'd like to know what. And the thing too, man, it's really interesting that you don't have a lot of fanfare around it, because had that been you or me or anybody else.
Oh, so you get it to where I'm headed. You get it. We've been together too long.
It would have been on everybody's radar.
You're getting, because the first thing I thought about, had that been me, David Coleman, black talk show host, I'd have been all over the media.
They gonna railroad you and me anyway, because they don't like our content.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't count. Let's go to somebody like Broadway Joe.
No, but I'm just saying in general.
Well, with us, we got an extra railroad, so
right.
we wouldn't count. We get extra. We get extra punishment. But I'm talking like somebody like a Broadway Joe, or if it was like a Broadway Joe or another.
But it doesn't even have to be them. It just be a black host.
Yeah.
This is white privilege, because number one, it took almost a day and a half before the local media picked it up. I got the information from Russ's post when he tagged me.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa. And then there was nothing on any of the television stations until the next day.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the first thing I thought was white privilege. And then he hadn't been prosecuted. He hadn't even been arrested.
He probably won't be.
You think you would have been arrested?
Oh yeah. The company he was inside, they wouldn't do it because of the negative publicity it would bring the radio station. And so you got to think about it. The radio station themselves are probably doing everything they can to provide damage control.
Oh,
because they definitely want to provide
the station manager literally went to them and fell on the sword.
Yeah, you got to, because you don't want that kind of negative publicity coming out about one of your hosts, because you're always doing these live remotes, and you don't want people going, no, we can't have him here no more. Y'all can't do no live remote here. You with me? Because you don't want to do that, because that damages the way you go out and market your station.
But it's crazy, man. You didn't have to do that. You don't need that money.
I want to know the story, Dave.
What I'm saying.
Me, unlike you and Russ, I'd like to know the story, the backstory.
But
of the why.
I'm just going as a former talk show host that did morning. You understand? Morning drive and evening drive is prime radio real estate, right?
Right.
Okay. Then you got the 12 o'clock hour.
And we got the 12 o'clock hour.
Well, that's the second. That's the third. Okay. Now I'd love to do an evening drive show. Now, don't get me wrong.
No.
Well, that's what I thought.
Way too hard.
But what I'm saying is this: is when you're in those spots, you've arrived in radio. I'm telling you from experience. When you get a drive show, morning or evening, you've arrived. Now, you don't need any money. I won't say you don't need any money, but man, I could call up people and say, hey, look, I'm doing this. In fact, when we had the flood in Nashville, I announced on the show that when they came in to do the tear downs and the rebuild, I announced on the show that, hey, we're going to have people coming into my neighborhood. I lived in Bordeaux, which is one of the oldest black neighborhood in Nashville. Okay. And in fact, I went back and looked at those pictures again, that video, and it's still amazing to me. So I got on the air and I said, hey, look, fortunately for me, I didn't get flooded out because my condo I was living in was up on a hill. But the people below me got flooded out. Would you all mind donating some money or some food or whatever? Because what I'm going to do the day they come in to do the tear out, I'm going to bring my barbecue grill down to the street, and everybody that comes through, I'm going to give them water, and I'm going to give them a burger, some wings, or a hot dog, whatever they want. Right. Man, I had all kinds of people donating food to me. You don't need to do that. There's no reason you do that.
Dave, everybody's situation is different. And I would just like to know the story.
And women? Oh, Lord. Oh, I didn't mean to say that.
I know. But I just want to...
I wasn't married then, okay?
I'd really like to know there's a reason this all happened. I just want to know what that reason is. Stop, man.
What? I'm just taking a deep breath.
No, you doing a snort like
I'm just taking a deep breath. I mean, I've been having problems with my sinuses for about a month, so I'm trying to breathe in a little bit. I mean, I don't know, but for him to do that, there had to be something else going on there. But I found the fascination because of the white privilege that he wasn't arrested, okay, and apparently there are not going to be any charges filed the way it's looking right now, because she got her money back. Look, it just amazes me. Okay. All right. Here's the lady's name is let's see. Police spokesman Eric Barnes said Foley, who was the victim, will have to press charges.
But she ain't gonna press charges.
No,
because the company's gonna tell her, hey, you press charges, we're gonna fire you. Because they don't want that. They don't want the negative connotation associated with the radio station.
Now, had that been me, do you think she'd press charges?
Oh, she wouldn't have had the option of pressing charges. And again, people tell you all the time that the prosecuting attorney's office can pick those charges up and press them regardless of whether you press them or not.
They can.
Yeah.
They can.
We'll see if that happens also.
They can. So I just found that interesting. You know, thanks for reminding me while I was going through my wall to make sure that we covered everything today. Oh, by the way, here's another story. Cop will get $57,000 a year in disability for stress of shooting an unarmed black man in the back.
Wow.
I'm laughing because it's so stupid.
Nah, I love it. I love it. Again, here you are again capitalizing off of our plight. You're capitalizing off of it. You got stressed because you shot and killed a brother in the back. You got stressed. Okay, I dig it. All right. But you don't want to pay the family who has the stress of their loved one being murdered. You don't want to pay for that. But this guy, you pay for his stress. I love it. I love how that works.
Yeah.
The irony is not lost on me.
If you need an example of the ridiculous police state circus that it is the land of the free, the following case should do. A former Deer Brown police officer charged with felony for shooting a unarmed man in the back will receive $57,000 a year, tax-free, in disability payments for stress she endured while trying to kill a man on his way home from work. Former Officer Devin Kramer, 30, has been collecting the payments for nearly a year and, according to reports, could receive them for the rest of her life. According to Kramer, the aftermath of the shooting and the subsequent trial for aggravated battery for shooting Manuel Burnley was too much to handle, and she will need compensation in the form of $57,000 tax-free for the rest of her life. Kramer is only 30 years old. If she lives to an average of 80, she can expect to receive $3 million, if not adjusted for inflation, for a shooting of an unarmed man in the back.
How long has she been on the police force?
It doesn't say.
The reason I asked, because she's been there long enough to be vested. Then she's also going to get a retirement.
That's true. Didn't think about that. During last year's trial, Kramer was not convicted. She wasn't convicted of aggravated battery because the jury was hung. Well, what else is new? Instead of seeking a retrial,
so they press charges, so she won't get it.
Right.
Okay.
Instead of seeking a retrial, Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm said his office will not retry the case. The news of getting away with attempted murder after being on paid vacation for 2 years was apparently too much for Kramer to handle. So she resigned on July 9th, filing for disability 3 days prior, contending the stress of the shooting and its aftermath had left her unable to work as a police officer. Well, your ass shouldn't be working as a police officer, okay? Period. Showing just how unnecessary it was to shoot Manuel Burnley is the fact that it started over a bus fare dispute. On March 14, 2016, Burnley was escorted off a Milwaukee County bus after the driver claimed he had been loud and unruly while arguing over bus fare. By chance, the bus driver waved over two cops, one of whom happened to be Kramer. After the officers escorted him off the bus, threw Burnley to the ground, they attempted to place him in handcuffs. Without warning, as Burnley lay face down on the ground waiting to be cuffed, Kramer pulled her service revolver and shot the unarmed man in the back. So he was on the ground. Much of the incident was captured on video showing what happened. The other officer on the scene, Michael Lehman, would later testify that he heard no threats from Burnley. He also stated that no time did Burnley attempt to attack the officers when Kramer attempted to murder him. Prior to his interaction with the police on that fateful day, Burnley had never been in trouble with the police. He had no criminal record and was merely on his way home from work when the arguably innocent unarmed man was shot in the back by a trigger-happy cop. That kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. There's a problem with policing in this community, in this country. And if we continue down the road that we are in, then you know what's going to start happening? People are going to start shooting first and asking questions later.
They doing that now.
And what concerns me is that one of the good cops that I know that works here in Little Rock is my godson. And I worry about him because they're not going to wonder whether or not he's a good cop. They're just going to see a badge and start shooting. That concerns me. So, again, and then they get off with a hung jury. Come on, dude. Oh, that's right. They had a videotape. They didn't see the context of the videotape. I'm just saying, Bird. 855-525-5683 is the number. We've got people listening from Kansas City now. Hot Springs National Park is in the house. There's Los Angeles, Whitehall, Arkansas. Even got a few people listening from Germany. I appreciate you all listening. And make sure you download the Joynet Radio app so you can carry us everywhere you go. And if you missed any part of the show today, the podcast will be up here in about 30 minutes, so you'll be able to download that. And by the way, if you want to donate to the podcast, if you like what we talk about, then donate $1 or $2, okay? By the way, federal appeals court rules that saying F the police to a police officer is protected speech.
Yep.
Okay?
Dangerous.
Just letting y'all know that. That came from some website called Bad Government in Arkansas. I don't know whose site that is.
No, neither.
Also, I've talked about this a lot on the show before we get out of here. Bill requires students to play sports based on gender at birth. And by the way, I agree with that 100%. You should not be born a boy with all of your testosterone wrestling girls. Sorry.
I ain't touching that.
What, you scared?
Nah.
You scared?
I just don't have the energy for certain things. That's one of them. I'm not gonna even waste my time coming. If they let you, this is how I am about all this stuff. If they let you do it, cool. I ain't tripping no more.
Well, that's why it should be stopped. Oh, and one other point. So you remember Schoolhouse Rock?
I love Schoolhouse Rock. Yeah.
Yeah, we all grew up with it, and you know that's part of how we learned on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, a bill is only a bill.
Well, Jack Sheldon, the guy who sang that,
yeah,
he died over.
We
the
should
weekend.
close out with that today, man.
He died. He died over the
bill.
weekend. So
I love
that's a good idea. That's a good
Let's
idea.
close with that, man. 'Cause I love that, man.
Because
I love that.
and I saw that, and a lot of people may not remember, because they don't do Saturday morning cartoons the way they did when we were growing up. I mean, what did you do on Saturday mornings? You got up, you got your big bowl of cornflakes, Frosted Flakes, or Captain Crunch, or whatever your favorite was, and you sat and watched cartoons. In fact, you would get up at 7 o'clock early in the morning on Saturdays just to watch cartoons or whatever the case may be. And so Schoolhouse Rock, Multiplication Rock, Scholastic Rock, all of those things were huge in our childhood. And that's really how we learned about politics. What was a bill and all of that stuff. So Sheldon Wright passed away over the weekend. He played the trumpet as well as, and tomorrow remind me to talk about this civil forfeiture law, because I think a lot of people are beginning to ask the question, it's time for us to start, we need to cut out this civil forfeiture because it's nothing more than theft.
Right.
And there's been plenty of evidence In fact, they were busting people in Tennessee because there's one county you didn't even have to do anything. And you know that case, one of those cases, you know where it really started?
Where?
Right here in Little Rock, at the Little Rock Airport. You remember that case years ago?
Yeah.
The brother who had a what was it? A landscaping business.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And he was going to Texas to buy some landscaping stuff, and he ended up going to buying his ticket. You know, if you pay cash for your ticket, you know and you go to the counter, you know they hit the button on you, don't they?
No.
You didn't know that? So if you go, let's say for instance, you go to the Little Rock Airport today, and you don't have a ticket, and you pay cash for your ticket, they will hit the button on you. And the federal authorities, they have one posted at every airport now, or they have more now. They will come out and accost you. So that's what they did to this guy. They actually came out and asked him where did he get the money? He said, well, I own a landscaping business. And I think he had like $10,000. So the girl at the counter saw all the money, thought he was a drug dealer, and they took all of his money. And that was years ago. That's when this first started happening. So just be aware of that. Just do it on, let's see, I'm just a bill. We're going to wrap the show up here. While I'm pulling this up, there's one other thing, one other quote. Since we're about to go to war, here's Muhammad Ali and his thoughts. Uh-oh. Oh, man, I hit the wrong button. Darn it.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, I got to do it again. I'll do it again. I'm sorry. I was trying to close out something, and I hit the wrong button. We'll do it again, all right? Because what Muhammad Ali is saying, and that's
very true.
The amazing thing about it is that it still works
It's
for
still
today.
relevant today, yeah.
You see,
Pause it.
you want me to go and fight for something that I don't even have here in America.
It's not pause.
I'll get it. Okay. Let me get back to this Muhammad Ali quote. But I just thought that was all right. Here we go. Let's play it again.
Breaking your neck to get to Switzerland and Canada and London. I'm not going to help nobody get something my Negroes don't have. If I'm going to die, I'll die now right here fighting you. If I'm going to die, you my enemy. My enemy is the white people, not Vietcong's or Chinese or Japanese. You my opposer when I want freedom. You my opposer when I want justice. You my opposer when I want equality. You won't even stand up for me in America for my religious beliefs, and you want me to go somewhere and fight, but you won't even stand up for me here at home.
Yep.
Booyah.
Yep.
Again, the more things change,
So we're going to do our quotes before we play Schoolhouse Rock?
yes, the more they stay the same. Okay? So go ahead and do your quotes.
Man, see,
You ain't ready?
I'm always ready to play it.
Oh, what's the problem?
Are you ready for me to go now?
Yeah, I'm
All right, here we
any
go.
day now.
This one from Harry Truman.
Okay.
Harry Tubman. Y'all ready? Mm-hmm. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world.
Wow. And by the way, there was an excellent piece over the weekend about Harriet Tubman and her life. You might want to go out to Hulu or I forgot who was running it, but it was an excellent piece. And I was a big fan of Harriet Tubman, and there were some things that I didn't even know about her. So the great quote. Here's mine. This is from the great Malcolm X. Nothing more sad than an African with a European mind.
Ooh. That's what's up.
We're out of here. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
You sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill.
I love this video.
And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the Capitol.
And he wrote a lot of that stuff too.
Long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." And he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I'm still just a bill.
I love that, man.
You've been listening to Black Focus.
Good show. Good show. See y'all later, alligators.